I'm here with Morgan Tempelton from Aradia Farm. We're here today to take a look at their Dexter cattle, which you see behind me. How did you guys get started first with the Dexter cattle?
In 2000, my mom bought 2 Dexters for my dad as an anniversary gift.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah. So they were just kind of his hobby, and then he started breeding them, and we got more Dexter cattle.
Okay. A lot of people look to the Dexter as a solution because they're a little bit smaller, right? But they still can yield. So tell me a little bit about why the Dexter are a good pick for someone who's maybe just raising it for their own family.
The first and biggest thing is their size. They are about half the size of a typical cow.
Yeah.
Which means they need about half the space.
That's perfect.
So they only need about a half an acre as opposed to a full acre per cow.
Wow, okay.
They don't convert quite as quickly. It takes them about 3 years to get to full size.
Okay.
But they eat half as much.
That's good. So you're spending less.
It ends up being about the same. It's just in terms of food.
Oh,
it's just more time.
What kind of feed are you giving the cattle?
These guys are all grass fed.
Oh, awesome.
So they'll get hay until the grass grows.
Yeah.
And then they'll be moved to the upper pastures where we have lots of grass.
Okay.
If you don't have a lot of space, then it's mostly hay, which means you're buying it. So the benefit is you're not buying nearly as much.
Right, right. So you save a little bit on what you have to purchase, and then through the winter, we have long winters here. You know, our winters, the grass can stop growing for 5 months, probably. I mean, you guys, for 5 months, you're buying hay. So you're saving, if they're eating less, you said about half from what a traditional cow would. So that's going to cut that bill in half. And then you're growing them on grass. So they're completely grass-fed, no grain supplement.
No grain supplement.
Wow.
Occasionally, if they look like they might need a little bit extra protein in the winter, we might throw a little bit in there. But they're just on grass, and then they get all the waste vegetables.
How are the Dexter as far as handleability? Does it depend on the certain cow? Do you find them to be a little more personable or easier to handle than other breeds?
I mean, ultimately it depends on the cow.
Yeah.
But in general, they're a lot easier to handle. And part of that is because they're so small.
Shorter.
Right, and you can push them around a little bit more.
That makes sense.
And if you train them from when they're young, they'll learn not to push back.
Oh, nice.
So the only one that we have halter trained is our bull. And he walks very nicely on a halter.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
So.
Walking a big bull around. But for someone who was looking to get into raising their own family's beef, what would they have to plan on as far as how many would you suggest? Can they get just one single steer to raise? How do you get your feet wet in the Dexter world?
I would get at least 2 unless you have another large animal. If you have a goat or a sheep or a horse, but they need some kind of companion. So
somebody to be out there with them.
Yeah, if you don't have anything like that, get 2.
Okay.
But if you do already have a horse, you can raise them with the horse.
Alongside.
And that'll be enough of a companion.
If you get 2, and they were both, would you get 2 young ones? For the first time someone was going to try this out, would you suggest they get 2 real young?
I probably would, or I'd get 2 very well-handled older ones.
Got it.
And well-handled Dexters are easy to find because they are typically a backyard breed.
So people are handling them more. Got it.
So they do get a lot of handling.
If you find 2 young ones and you're raising them, and you said about 3 years?
Yeah.
What does a 3-year animal, what's the size of a 3-year-old animal?
She is just about 3.
So that's the size of one 3-year-old that's the size a little bit smaller than what you're hoping for, but that's what you would take to the butcher?
Yeah.
And what do you yield off of a cow that size, as far as how much meat?
We'll get about 200 pounds of meat.
200 pounds?
Yep. So the yield conversion is pretty good. You'll get about
great.
70% of the hanging weight back in meat.
That's awesome.
As opposed to some of the larger breeds where it's like 50%.
Yeah. So you're using all that you've helped to produce, you're using a lot more of that.
Yeah.
That's a good conversion. So 200 pounds of beef off of one.
Yep.
So for a homesteader who was thinking about maybe getting 2 of these, they'd wind up with 400 pounds, which if you have a family like mine, you're gonna go through that. We got 4 kids. And if not, you could sell the one cow and keep the other one for your, the meat from the one, and keep the rest for yourself. As far as just a, quick little figure, I know it's gonna be different for everybody cost-wise, but what basic figure would someone expect to put in if they had a similar, 5 or 6 months where they had to buy hay? How much would go into a cow that size? Off the top of your head, just a quick figure.
Probably about $1,000.
$1,000?
And that's a complete estimate.
Totally works. It's funny because that's about what we spend to get about 200 pounds of pork. So just a quick figure for someone to kind of go by over 3 years time. They're going to go through hay in the winter. Do you know per animal how much hay a day in the winter time you're feeding them? Do they go through a bale or a half bale?
It depends on the size of the bale and the quality of the bale.
Okay.
If you're getting cheap, crappy hay, they'll go through a lot more.
Yeah.
All of these guys, and we have 12 big guys and 6 little guys, it takes them about 2 to 3 days to go through a big round bale.
Oh, okay.
So 2 of them would probably go for like 2 weeks.
Wow. Okay. When someone is looking for a quality animal, a quality Dexter, what do they look for? What are the signs of a good animal?
It depends what you're looking for. If you're looking for more of a beef type animal, you want to look for something more like Bullseye, where he's a little bit thicker, thicker neck, not as skinny. If you're looking more for a dairy type animal...
We didn't even talk about dairy. They can do dairy too?
They can do dairy
Oh man, all right.
They'll give about 2 gallons of milk a day.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Which is a lot of milk.
Especially for an animal that's also producing beef.
Right.
That's great. What's the quality of a Dexter milk like?
I have never personally milked or had Dexter milk. But I'm told that it is similar to like a Jersey.
Really?
It's a very high butter fat content, about 4%.
Wow, that's great.
There are certain Dexters that have been bred with those more dairy qualities.
Okay.
So like Misha, you can see she's milking right now. We don't milk her.
The black one here?
Yep, but her calf is milking her. She's got more of the protruding hip bones. That's more of the dairy quality in the Dexter. So it depends what type you're looking for.
Yeah.
Or you can go for someone like Carol there, who kind of is both.
Dual purpose.
Yeah.
That's the one we were talking about before, right? 4Z?
Yeah.
Is it 4Z?
Yep.
So you can get with a Dexter, this is another reason they're popular with homesteaders, obviously, is if you can get a good dual purpose.
Right.
If you want to do both meat and milk, which we've been looking at milk animals or milk cows for a while. Yeah. So if you're looking for the dual purpose, you're going to want to find something that looks more dual purpose. What's the quality of the steak for a grass-fed animal? What's that like?
I like grass-fed animals from Dexter's a lot better than like a grass-fed Angus.
Really?
Because Angus have been bred to convert corn at this point. They've been bred over so many years now that they don't convert grass as well. So their steaks tend to be chewier and not as good.
Yeah.
And then people think grass-fed meat is crap.
Yeah.
But these guys, because they're a backyard breed, haven't been bred to convert corn like some of the bigger guys have.
Yeah.
So they still convert grass very well. And then they have a very well-marbled, tasty grass-fed meat.
Boy, well we're gonna buy some from you. Do you have some now?
I have some over in South.
All right, we're gonna head over there later and buy some because I want to try it. This is a really great animal for a homesteader, because if you can get milk and if you can get a good quality beef and a dual purpose animal where if you keep, obviously you would maybe keep the cow if you're planning on milking, and hopefully you have a steer and you can raise that for the beef side of things. When you're breeding, can you take a Dexter and breed to a more meat, like you said, bullseye here.
Yeah.
A more, if you were to breed 4Z, what was her name?
Carol.
Carol. So if you were to breed Carol with bullseye, would that produce a bit more of a beefier,
yeah,
hopefully a bit more beefier animal? So that way now you have your milk and your meat,
right,
and you have your 2 animals, and now you got your homestead beef operation.
Yeah. That's
awesome. That's a really cool, cool animal. We've been looking at all kinds of different cows, and this one is just, it's very, very unique. If someone likes this idea, they're watching this YouTube video and it sounds amazing, they're getting all kinds of meat and all kinds of milk and it's gonna be great. What would you suggest they do before they run out and buy a cow, if they've never owned a cow before?
I would start by doing a lot of research and talking to people that have owned the cow in their area.
Smart.
Because you'll know where to get the equipment that you need.
Yep.
If it, you know, where to get the feed, mm-hmm, or the hay, who's a good hay supplier. So start by talking to people in your area that
Can't
raise.
go wrong with that.
If you can find somebody that raises Dexters, that's better, but really anybody that raises cows in your area should be able to help you.
And would you suggest they spend some time with someone who has them, learning to handle them? Is there a big learning curve with learning to work with cattle, or at least Dexters?
If they've never handled any type of large animal before, I would suggest that.
Take a little time, get some hands-on practice.
Yeah. If you've worked with other cattle before or horses, and you kind of have that general knowledge of how to handle a large animal,
you'll be all right.
Then you should be okay.
Cool. They're going through the winter and everything. They're a hardy animal.
They're extremely hardy. They'll be out in a blizzard and
just enjoying it,
standing in the blizzard.
They have a little house over here which you can't see in the shop, but you said they don't even use it.
They don't.
Cool.
We spent a whole bunch of money on the one in our winter field.
Yeah.
And the next blizzard we came out and they're just standing in the field
looking
getting snowed on. Nobody's in the barn.
So someone, as far as housing, I mean, just somewhere where they can get some shade.
Yeah, just a simple.
And make sure you can get water to them and feed.
Right.
Cool.
And if you have a place like this field where it's heavily treed, they don't really even need a barn.
They just go under the trees.
Yep.
Wow.
Use the trees for
fantastic
shelter and shade.
Morgan, thanks for telling us about Dexter cattle. These seem like a very, very good option for a homesteader who is looking for feeding their family, maybe getting some milk, getting some beef. If they want to learn more about you, if they'd like to get in contact with you, maybe they live close by, they'd be interested in purchasing an animal, how do they get a hold of you?
The easiest way is through our website, aradiafarm.com. You can contact us through there. We have our phone number. We also have a page about Dexter cattle.
Cool.
So you can go on and learn about Dexter cattle.
And if you'd like to try some of the beef from the Dexter cattle, you can purchase some beef and a whole million other items that they have to sell, which we'll talk about in the next video.